it's no fault of Elvis. You know, he loved the song.
Dolly Parton, the sparkly sweetheart of America and the true queen of country music, has spent decades winning hearts all over the world with that golden voice and infectious charm. But behind that radiant smile hides a side of her story that most people have never heard. A storm of tension, betrayal, and hidden feuds that never hit the headlines. On stage, everyone adored her. She was the darling of the industry, praised in interviews, shining at award shows, surrounded by smiles and compliments like she could do no wrong. But away from the flashing lights, it was a whole different scene. Doors were slammed, tempers flared, and friendships fell apart. One artist even swore they'd never work with her again. Another tried to swipe one of her biggest hits. Can you believe that? Dolly kept quiet through it all, but now the truth is spilling out, revealing 5 singers she could never stand being around. So what really went down behind closed doors, and why are those wounds still fresh even today? Once you uncover the truth, you might never see Dolly Parton the same way again. Her rise to fame is nothing short of a miracle. Everyone knows the blonde hair, the glitter, and that sweet-as-honey voice that could melt anyone's heart. But not everyone knows the drama that came with it. The long climb from a dirt-poor Tennessee girl to one of the most powerful women in music history. Dolly's life has been a wild mix of struggles and surprises. She's built an image as the queen of kindness, the woman who always smiles, always forgives, always keeps it positive. But even someone as gentle as Dolly has had her share of battles in the music world. To really understand who she clashed with, you have to understand her. Dolly's the type who avoids drama whenever she can, yet somehow it keeps finding her. She's like a magnet for chaos without even trying. Born on January 19, 1946, in a tiny one-room cabin in Locust Ridge, Tennessee, Dolly Rebecca Parton came from humble beginnings. Her family was loving but broke. 12 kids packed into a small mountain home with nothing fancy, just pure heart. Her father, Lee Parton, was a hard-working farmer and construction man who couldn't read or write. But Dolly always said he was the smartest man I ever knew. Her mother, Avie Lee, had 12 children before she turned 35, passing down her deep love for stories, faith, and music, gifts that would shape Dolly's entire life. For Dolly Parton, music wasn't just something to pass the time, it was survival. With no money for fancy entertainment, the kids learned to sing in church and harmonize out on the front porch, turning their voices into their own kind of magic. Everyone in her family could see it. Dolly was special. By just 10 years old, she was already performing on local radio and TV in Knoxville. And not long after, that little girl from the Smoky Mountains was standing under the bright lights of the Grand Ole Opry. The day after she graduated high school in 1964, Dolly didn't waste a second. She packed up her bag, said goodbye to home, and headed straight for Nashville with nothing but her voice, her notebook, and some wild dreams. She started off behind the scenes writing songs for other artists. But let's be real, Dolly was never meant to stay in the shadows. She wanted that spotlight. And in 1967, she got her first big taste of it with Dumb Blonde. That song wasn't just catchy, it was a statement. She was letting everyone know she was no pushover, and she had the talent to prove it. That same year, she joined the Porter Wagoner Show, and everything flipped overnight. Millions tuned in every week to watch Dolly light up their screens with her glow and that one-of-a-kind charm. Her duets with Porter Wagoner were instant hits. People couldn't get enough of their chemistry, their harmonies, and that effortless spark that made them the talk of the country scene. By the early 1970s, Dolly was ready to break free and fly solo, and once she did, there was no stopping her. In 1973, Jolene dropped like a thunderbolt, becoming an instant anthem. Then came I Will Always Love You, a song that would go on to take over the entire world. Years later, Whitney Houston's version made it legendary. But make no mistake, Dolly still owns the rights and made millions from that masterpiece. And in true Dolly fashion, she didn't brag, she just smiled and kept it classy. By the 1980s, Dolly was everywhere, on the radio, in movies, and even on store shelves. Her role in 9 to 5 with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin proved she was way more than just a country singer. She was a full-blown entertainer. Then came Dollywood in 1986, her very own theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. While other stars were showing off their yachts, Dolly was building an amusement park to lift up her hometown and create jobs. How many celebrities can say that? But don't confuse her sweetness for weakness. Dolly's one of the sharpest business minds in the game. She's written thousands of songs, stacked up Grammys and Lifetime awards, and even made her way into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not too shabby for a girl who grew up without running water. And she never forgot to give back. Her imagination library has donated millions of books to kids across the globe, making sure every child gets the chance to dream big. Through all the fame, Dolly has stayed humble, warm, and full of heart. But even a Southern angel has her limits. Behind those sparkles and smiles, there's a trail of rivalries that proves even Dolly Parton's world isn't as perfect as it looks. There were people who clashed with Dolly, underestimated her, or straight up tried to take credit for her success. And one thing's for sure, Dolly never forgets. She might have smiled through the drama, but behind those big blonde curls and that sweet grin, she was facing feuds, tension, and heartbreak that time never fully erased. One of the most complicated and legendary battles she ever faced was with the very man who helped launch her career and later tried to control it. It was the showdown that shook country music. Dolly Parton versus Porter Wagoner. Before Dolly became a worldwide superstar, Porter Wagoner was already a huge name in the country scene. He had it all: charm, showmanship, and a velvet voice that could stop a crowd cold. By the 1960s, Porter was the king of the Porter Wagoner Show, one of the hottest programs on American TV. On stage, he was all sparkle and energy, rocking those rhinestone suits like nobody else. Off stage, though, Porter was sharp, old school, and used to calling the shots. So when he met young Dolly Parton, he saw something electric, that rare spark that only comes once in a generation. He brought her on the show as a replacement for the fan favorite Norma Jean. And let's just say, fans did not take it well. Some booed her during live shows, others wrote angry letters demanding Norma Jean's return. The backlash was real. But Porter stood firm, telling everyone Dolly was staying. And Dolly, ever the professional, didn't let the hate break her. She smiled through it, held her ground, and let her talent do the talking. Soon enough, the magic began. Their duets exploded on the charts. Their chemistry was undeniable. And together, they cranked out more than a dozen top 10 hits. On camera, they looked unstoppable. The perfect country pair. But behind those glowing smiles, trouble was brewing. Porter didn't just want to sing with Dolly. He wanted to run her career. He started managing her appearances, picking her songs, and making all the major business moves. And for a woman as fiercely independent and ambitious as Dolly Parton, that kind of control wasn't gonna last forever. She wasn't just some pretty face with a sweet voice. Dolly was a songwriter, a thinker, and a visionary with dreams that reached far beyond duet albums and TV spots. For years, she played along, respecting Porter's role in her come-up. But deep down, Dolly was ready to build something bigger. Something that belonged entirely to her. As her fame skyrocketed, so did her desire to break free. The same partnership that once felt like gold was now starting to feel like a cage. Eventually, the routine got suffocating, and Dolly started writing songs that no longer fit the Porter and Dolly image. Songs full of power, emotion, and independence. You could feel it. She was ready to step out of his shadow, and the world was about to witness the storm that followed. All Dolly ever wanted was simple, creative freedom and control over her own voice. But that was something Porter just couldn't bring himself to give her. Dolly later admitted he had a tough time seeing her as his equal. He still saw her as that young girl he gave a shot to, not the powerhouse she'd become. In the beginning, Porter offered her a platform that helped launch her dreams. But over time, that same stage started feeling less like an opportunity and more like a cage. Still, Dolly didn't storm out or cause a scene. That's not her style. She knew how much she owed him and tried to make it work. But by 1973, the tension between them was impossible to hide anymore. The chemistry that once made them magic on stage now felt heavy and strained. And finally, in 1974, Dolly made the heartbreaking decision to leave the Porter Wagoner Show. To the public, it looked like a friendly goodbye, smiles, hugs, and polite words. But behind closed doors, the split was far from peaceful. 5 years after she walked away, Porter came back into her life. This time, not with a duet, but with lawyers. In 1979, he sued Dolly for a jaw-dropping $3 million, claiming she broke their contract and owed him money for management fees, show costs, and even a cut of her post-show earnings. Dolly was stunned. To her, Porter wasn't just a former boss. He was a mentor, a partner, and someone she genuinely cared for. The lawsuit felt like a stab in the back. The battle quickly turned ugly, with gossip spreading fast through the industry. Newspapers picked it apart, and everyone had an opinion. But even through the chaos, Dolly refused to fight dirty. She didn't go on talk shows to drag his name or air their issues. Instead, she handled it with grace, quietly settling the case out of court. Later, she explained that she never wanted a war. All she ever wanted was her freedom. Still, the ordeal took an emotional toll. Porter had been such a big part of her rise to fame, someone who believed in her when few others did. Despite the pain, Dolly still cared about him. They had made history together, but when she tried to step out on her own, he just couldn't let her go without a fight. In one honest moment, Dolly later shared, "When I was trying to leave the show, I told Porter I'd stay 5 years. It had been 5, then 6, then 7. He just had such a hard time with it because it was going to mess up his show. We were so bound and tied together in so many emotional ways, and he just wouldn't hear it." That confession said it all. Their feud wasn't just about money. It cut much deeper. It exposed a side of Porter Dolly had never seen before, and it broke her heart. But time has a way of healing even the deepest wounds. By the late 1980s, after years of silence and hurt, something softened between them. Slowly, the two began to reconnect, finding a sense of peace after all the years of tension. And then, in 2002, Dolly shocked everyone. She personally inducted Porter Wagoner into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Standing on that stage, honoring the man who once tried to hold her back, Dolly proved exactly who she is: graceful, loyal, and stronger than ever. When Dolly took the stage to induct Porter Wagoner into the Country Music Hall of Fame, her voice trembled with emotion as she spoke about how much he had meant to her, even through the hardest times. And when Porter was hospitalized in 2007 with lung cancer, Dolly showed up to see him one last time. Just weeks later, he passed away, leaving her heartbroken. To honor him, Dolly held a private tribute concert at Dollywood, not for fame or headlines, but out of pure love and gratitude for the man who helped launch her dreams, even if he once tried to keep her from flying too high. That chapter with Porter Wagoner remains one of the most emotional and defining moments of Dolly's career. A story of loyalty, heartbreak, and growth that shaped her in ways the world will never truly understand. But Dolly's story of clashes and creative chaos doesn't stop there, not even close. The next person on that list didn't just hurt her feelings. She shocked the world. It was Dolly Parton versus Linda Ronstadt. Now, this one's legendary. Together with Emmylou Harris, they formed what fans called the ultimate dream team. 3 powerhouse women, each one a star in her own right, who came together to create the iconic Trio album. Their voices blended like silk and smoke, giving us timeless songs that still give people chills today. But behind that picture-perfect harmony, the studio was anything but peaceful, especially between Dolly and Linda. What started out as a musical sisterhood almost fell apart in the mid-1970s, turning into one of country music's most whispered-about feuds. At the time, Dolly, Linda, and Emmylou were all at the top of their game, adored, respected, and unstoppable. They admired each other deeply and shared a dream: to create something beautiful together. But the reality of fame got in the way. Busy schedules, rival record labels, and egos clashing over creative control kept pushing their project off the rails. It wasn't until 1987 that their long-awaited album Trio finally dropped, and it was an instant smash. The record went platinum, shot straight to the top of the country charts, and even snagged them a Grammy. On the outside, it looked like a perfect collaboration. But behind those microphones, sparks were flying. And not the good kind. Dolly, known for her quick-fire style, loved to record her songs in 1 or 2 takes, raw, real, and full of emotion. Linda, on the other hand, was a perfectionist to her core. She'd spend hours, even days, fine-tuning every little sound, every note, every pause. Emmylou often ended up caught in the middle, playing peacekeeper as the tension thickened in the studio. Dolly later admitted that working with Linda could be intense. She described it like dealing with a studio diva who wouldn't stop tweaking the smallest details. There were moments when Dolly said she wanted to scream out of pure frustration. Their creative styles just didn't blend, and everyone around them could feel the heat. Still, they gave it another go in 1994 with Trio 2. But once again, record label drama and scheduling chaos delayed the project for years. By the time it finally came out in 1999, the music still had that same gorgeous magic, but the friendship behind it was gone. The damage was done. What began as mutual admiration and friendly competition between Dolly and Linda had turned sour, and Linda didn't hold back. She started speaking out publicly, calling Dolly unreliable during the project, and expressing frustration over how things were handled. Fans were stunned. Two of the most beloved voices in music suddenly at odds. For Dolly, the feud with Linda Ronstadt wasn't about ego, it was about style. But in a business built on image and pride, even creative differences can turn into lasting wounds. Their collaboration had made music history, but it also left behind some deep scars. Linda Ronstadt didn't hold back when she spoke about Dolly Parton later on. In one interview, she admitted that working with Dolly had been frustrating. Linda claimed that Dolly often canceled plans, showed up late to sessions, or just didn't seem fully locked in during the project. According to Linda, Dolly was never on time and came off a little flaky, words that hit hard in an industry built on precision and pride. But the rift wasn't just about time management, it ran way deeper. Linda felt that Dolly didn't always respect the intense effort and patience that went into completing Trio. She believed Dolly's focus was mostly on her solo career, not the group's work, and that attitude left a bad taste. To Linda, what should have been a creative sisterhood started feeling more like a one-sided commitment. The tension got so strong that it began cracking their partnership wide open. Eventually, Linda made it clear she wasn't planning to work with Dolly again. She even said Dolly's lack of professionalism ruined what was supposed to be a joyful, collaborative experience. Those words spread fast, and the feud became one of the most talked about in country music circles. Still, time has a way of softening even the hardest edges. As the years rolled by, both women showed tiny signs of reconciliation, small gestures that hinted the resentment was fading, at least a little. But make no mistake, things were never the same. There was always a hint of awkwardness whenever their names came up together. They weren't enemies, but they weren't close either. Despite the fallout, the Trio project still stands tall as one of country music's greatest collaborations, a shining moment of female power and vocal perfection. But behind those angelic harmonies, Linda's harsh words lingered like a shadow, a reminder of what could have been a lifelong bond between three legends. And just when you think the drama ends there, another shocker comes into play. Because the next story involves the king himself, Elvis Presley. When you hear that name, you think of the man who changed rock and roll forever, the voice, the swagger, the icon. And then there's Dolly Parton, the queen of country, whose storytelling and songwriting shaped generations. Both of them were music royalty in their own right, and at one point they came this close to joining forces. It could have been one of the most legendary collaborations in music history. But instead, it ended in tension, all over a single, unforgettable song. It all started with Dolly's timeless ballad, I Will Always Love You. She wrote it back in 1973, a deeply personal piece inspired by her painful but necessary decision to part ways with her longtime mentor, Porter Wagoner. Every word in that song came straight from her heart. It was her goodbye letter wrapped in melody. When she released it, the song became an instant hit, a tender anthem that proved Dolly's place among the greatest songwriters alive. But what Dolly didn't realize at the time was that her heartfelt ballad had caught the attention of Elvis Presley's team. The king wanted to record it, and that's when everything changed. What started as a dream offer from the biggest star in the world would soon turn into one of the toughest choices of Dolly's career, a decision that would test her business instincts, her independence, and her heart. The king himself wanted to record her song. By the mid-1970s, Elvis Presley was still ruling the charts. The man could take almost any tune and turn it into gold. So when word reached Dolly that Elvis wanted to sing I Will Always Love You, she was beyond thrilled. Can you imagine? The king of rock and roll putting his voice on one of your songs? It was every songwriter's dream come true, until a shocking twist changed everything. See, Elvis's infamous manager, Colonel Tom Parker, had a reputation for playing hardball, and not in a fair way. He was known for demanding huge chunks of publishing rights from any songwriter lucky enough to get Elvis to record their music, and that's exactly what he wanted from Dolly, half of her song's publishing rights. At the time, Dolly was still solidifying her place in the industry. She wasn't a billionaire icon yet, just a rising songwriter trying to protect what she'd built. But even then, she knew her worth. When Colonel Parker made that outrageous demand for 50% of her rights, Dolly didn't hesitate to stand her ground. She told him straight up, "This is the most important copyright in my entire publishing company, and I can't do that." That decision took serious guts. Turning down Elvis Presley, the biggest name in the world, wasn't just risky. It could have ended her career. But for Dolly, it was never just about money. It was about respect. She'd poured her heart into that song, and no one, not even the King's manager, was going to take that away from her. Still, saying no hurt her deeply. Dolly later confessed that the whole situation broke her heart. She adored Elvis, and she knew he genuinely loved the song. He'd even rehearsed it, ready to make it his own. But when Parker refused to budge, the recording never happened. Dolly was devastated, but she also knew that if she gave up ownership once, others would think they could take advantage of her too. According to Dolly, Elvis was very disappointed. He'd really wanted to sing the song, and she could feel the sadness between them afterward. Dolly described him later as a sensitive soul, saying that even though he never confronted her about it, she knew their relationship changed that day. It was painful, a dream duet that turned into a heartbreak over business. But in the long run, that moment became one of the smartest and most defining decisions of her entire career. Years later, Whitney Houston's stunning version of "I Will Always Love You" would break every record imaginable, topping charts worldwide and introducing the song to a whole new generation. The hit earned Dolly millions in royalties and cemented her as one of the most successful songwriters in history. Despite how things ended, Dolly has never spoken badly about Elvis. In fact, she said she still loves him and always will. But she also never regretted standing her ground. Turning down the king of rock and roll wasn't just brave. It was a moment that showed the world exactly who Dolly Parton is: smart, strong, and completely in control of her art. And while most people know Dolly as the epitome of kindness and grace, the woman who rarely lets drama get under her skin, even she has her limits. Because in 2008, another man pushed her patience to the breaking point, the one and only Howard Stern. By the 1980s and 90s, the Howard Stern Show had become a full-blown cultural phenomenon, loved by some for its brutal honesty and despised by others for its crude, anything-goes attitude. To his fans, Howard was fearless. To his critics, he was flat-out offensive. But in 2008, he crossed a line that stunned everyone, because his next target was none other than Dolly Parton. In one of his most shocking and cruel radio segments, Stern's team pulled a stunt that went way too far. They took clips from Dolly's audiobook, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, and edited them together to create a fake interview, one that made it sound like Dolly was saying vulgar, racist, and wildly inappropriate things. They spliced her real voice into fake sentences that mocked fellow artists like Kenny Rogers and Linda Ronstadt, even throwing in crude jokes about Dolly's own body. The segment was supposed to be funny, but it was anything but. It was mean, humiliating, and totally out of bounds. Stern's crew laughed it off on air like it was harmless entertainment, but for Dolly and her fans, it was devastating. It wasn't just a cheap shot. It was a public humiliation designed to tear down one of the most respected women in music. Dolly Parton, who almost never gets dragged into controversy, was crushed. Known for always taking the high road, she shocked everyone when she finally broke her silence. In a rare public statement, she said, "I have never been so shocked, hurt, and humiliated in all my life. I cannot believe what Howard Stern has done to me. In a blue million years, I would never have such vulgar things come out of my mouth." She didn't stop there. Dolly called the bit vile and even hinted at possible legal action, saying, "If there was ever going to be a lawsuit, it's going to be over this." That's how serious it was. The backlash was instant. Fans were furious. Country radio stations, industry peers, and longtime supporters rushed to defend her. Message boards and news outlets lit up with outrage. Even people outside the country music world stood by Dolly's side, condemning Stern for crossing a line that no one should ever cross. But Howard Stern didn't apologize. He didn't show an ounce of remorse. Instead, he brushed it off, claiming it was just a joke and that people were being too sensitive. To him, it was satire. To Dolly, it was deeply personal, and the damage ran deep. She had spent her entire career building a reputation of grace, respect, and authenticity. And in just a few edited clips, Stern's team had tried to tear that down. The emotional wound it left didn't heal easily. After that ugly incident in 2008, Dolly and Howard went their separate ways. No public reconciliation, no second chances. But true to her nature, Dolly took the high road. She didn't drag his name through interviews or waste time firing back. She let her actions and her grace speak louder than any insult ever could. Dolly never clapped back publicly or threw insults in interviews. She just moved on, letting her fans and the public speak for her. Still, that sting didn't fade overnight. For years, people couldn't forget what had happened with Howard Stern. It became one of those scars that quietly linger in showbiz history until something no one expected happened. In 2023, Dolly shocked everyone by showing up on The Howard Stern Show. Yes, the same show that once humiliated her. 15 long years had passed since that ugly stunt, and fans couldn't believe their eyes when she finally stepped into his studio. But Dolly had a mission this time. She was there to promote her new rock album, Rockstar, and if there was ever a time to break boundaries, this was it. To everyone's surprise, Howard Stern played it cool. He was respectful, even complimentary. He called Dolly a legend, praised her energy, and gushed about her incredible voice. For once, he dropped the sarcasm and kept things professional. Still, the air between them was thick. You could feel the tension underneath the politeness. It was clear Dolly wasn't there to forgive or forget. She was there for business. But that's what makes Dolly who she is. Once again, she showed the world what real grace looks like. She didn't bring up the past or dig into old wounds. She simply showed up, did her thing, and took back control of the narrative on her own terms. It was a masterclass in professionalism, and fans everywhere applauded her strength and class. Then came a totally different kind of drama, this time involving Wilco's frontman Jeff Tweedy. Now, hardly anyone in the music world ever dares to criticize Dolly Parton. She's practically untouchable. But Tweedy, known for his sharp tongue and poetic, often brooding songwriting, didn't hold back. In an interview that sent shockwaves through both the country and indie scenes, Tweedy started off respectful, acknowledging Dolly's legendary place in country music history. But then he took a sharp turn, claiming her songwriting was superficial. He said her lyrics lacked the emotional complexity and abstract depth found in more serious songwriters. Ouch. According to Tweedy, Dolly's real strength was in her catchy melodies, not her storytelling. He even compared her to other artists he thought were more profound, suggesting that Dolly's success came more from her charm and image than from the quality of her lyrics. Then came the line that made headlines everywhere. In one now infamous comment, Tweedy said, "I love Dolly Parton. I know she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day. I think she should have stopped after Jolene." Even if he didn't mean to be cruel, the remark came off as dismissive, especially toward a woman whose songs have touched hearts across generations. Fans didn't hold back. Social media exploded with outrage, calling his comments arrogant and tone-deaf. Country fans, rock fans, even fellow artists rushed to defend Dolly's legacy, reminding everyone that her songs, simple or not, have carried emotion and truth for decades. Reports later claimed that Dolly did hear about what Tweedy said, and she wasn't happy. Songwriting, for her, isn't some academic exercise or technical display. It's her life, her heart, and her truth. Every lyric she writes comes from something real, something she's lived, loved, or lost. So for another artist to question that, it had to sting. But in true Dolly fashion, she didn't lash out or issue a fiery response. She didn't have to. Her legacy speaks louder than any critic ever could. While Tweedy's words faded into controversy, Dolly's songs kept soaring, played at weddings, sung at funerals, and loved by millions around the world. From Coat of Many Colors to 9 to 5, Dolly Parton's music has touched hearts across every generation, breaking barriers, blending genres, and inspiring millions along the way. Her influence as a songwriter is undeniable. No amount of criticism, drama, or controversy could ever take that away. Her lyrics tell real stories about love, pain, faith, and strength. And that's why her songs keep living on, long after the spotlight fades. Through every feud, every headline, and every heartbreak, Dolly has stayed exactly who she's always been: humble, resilient, and shining with grace. She's faced lawsuits, betrayal, public insults, and still walked away with her head held high and that famous smile lighting up the world. Every setback only made her stronger. Every rumor only proved how powerful her presence really is. So now we want to hear from you. Which one of these wild feuds do you think left the biggest mark on Dolly's career? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. We love hearing your take. And if you're into juicy behind-the-scenes stories and deep dives into the hidden truths of music's biggest legends, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.